Hi, I'm Frederick from Exopolitics Denmark, and we're here in Copenhagen in 2015 on the 27th of September. And with me it is a.j.gevaerd from Brazil. Thank you for coming to our conference here, all the way from Brazil.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was a great pleasure to present at your conference.
Oh yeah, that was a great presentation that you gave yesterday. Could you briefly tell us what is your role in the UFO field in Brazil?
I'm the president of the Brazilian Center for Flying Saucer Research. We have over 4,000 members, which is the largest UFO organization in the world. And since the 80s, I'm running the Brazilian UFO magazine, which has been alive for 32 years. Now, being the long-lasting UFO publication that goes to newsstands, uninterrupted in the history. And I'm a completely dedicated person to the UFO phenomena. I go to the field to investigate cases, to talk to witnesses, and I bring their reports. I publish their reports. I present their reports in conferences in Brazil and in other countries where I visit too. And when I go to other countries, I tend to bring material to Brazil to publish there. So my role is basically that of making society knowledgeable with the subject as much as possible.
Exopolitics Denmark met you at the X conference in Washington, D.C. in 2010, and we have an interview with you on our YouTube channel. And it's been 5 years, AJ. Yes, time goes by very fast. Has anything happened in Brazil during the last time I saw you, for 5 years ago? What has happened in Brazil since?
When I gave you that interview in 2010, we are in the middle of our campaign, UFOs Freedom of Information now. And after that, we have several developments of that campaign. As you know, as I explained to you that time, the campaign was dedicated to ask the government, to demand that the government release its secret UFO files. And by the year of 2010, we already had lots of files. But after that, we have many other files coming from the files, the secret files of the Brazilian Air Force mainly. And right now we have 7,000 pages that were declassified because of our campaign. We got a very strong popular support. And we had several very interesting occurrences revealed to the public, cases in which pilots were involved in chasing UFOs and vice versa. And also, not coming only from the military files, but also made by the Brazilian UFO researchers. We had several new reports of UFO sightings all over in Brazil. As you know, that Brazil is a very active country when this subject is concerned. So I would say that a lot has happened, not only in Brazil, but in all over the world. I have this feeling, I sense that the UFO information, the UFO awareness it's getting faster and faster into society. We used to have a high percentage of incredulity. Right now we have credibility much more than we had before, and people are taking this subject more serious than they took before. It's because of the work of UFO researchers all over the world. And now, since the last years, the UFO exopolitics guys and all over the globe are doing whatever they can to take this information to society.
Chile is a country that is also very open, and where is there any cooperation between the countries in the militaries in South America with this subject? Has that cooperation increased during the last couple of years?
Well, although they don't reveal it, we know that all countries of South America are connected through a network that puts all the militaries from different countries in the same line, in the same page. So actually there is a cooperation between the Chilean, the Argentinian, the Peruvian, Uruguayan, and the Brazilian, and a few other governments in Brazil. Because there are plenty cases in which a UFO would pass. Oh, before that, let me tell you that this cooperation is not only for UFOs. This is for everything regarding to the conditions of our country. But when it comes to UFOs, it's come out pretty handy, because there are cases in which UFOs would fly over part of Brazil, then enter Argentinian airspace and go all the way to Chilean airspace. So the military must communicate with each other in order to better track the trajectory of that object. So they do exchange information, and the Chilean military has a lot. It is said in Chile that there are no secrets, no papers to reveal, because everything is already online. Actually, it's in all parts of Chilean governments. Everything that happens there is online to its citizens to see, to check out, to follow. And with UFOs as well. I have been to Chile so many times, and I have interviewed the General Ricardo Bermudez, who is actually presently the commander of the entity, the body that investigate UFOs officially in the country, which is Centro de Estudio de Fenómenos Aeroespaciales, a study center for aerospatial phenomena, aerospace phenomena, if you wish. Because, well, of course, they don't say UFOs, they say aerospace phenomena. Plus many other, well, like the French does.
A.j., why do you think that there is so much openness in South America regarding this issue? Other parts of the world, it's still very much, there is a lot of tension surrounding when you confront the authorities with this issue, but there seems to be a more relaxed feeling from the authorities when it comes to this subject. Why do you think that is?
I think that's because of the nature of our people in South America. We have this tendency to take UFOs as a normal thing. You know, if you make some inquiries in any of the countries of South America, you'll find the rates of acceptation of the phenomena very high. Like in Brazil, it's something like 65% of the people believe in UFOs, and most of the people know that the government has been involved with this. Because this is a natural thing. How come a phenomenon like that would appear all over this spacecraft coming from outer space? Of course, we have to conclude that because of their very advanced technology. How come spacecrafts like that would appear here and there and the government wouldn't do anything? No, they have to do, and all governments in the world, at least at those advanced countries, at some point, let's say 100 countries at least in the world, know perfectly well that UFOs exist, and they come from other planets somewhere else in the universe, that they are here, they are more developed than us, technologically at least, but probably morally, socially, ethically, and all the things that come together with an advance in technology to a society. And so they must know. And in South America there is a particularity. Now, if you take all the countries of South America, since from Mexico to South, so it's Latin America more than South America, because it involves Central America, North America, it's Latin America. We have 5, not 2, not 3, but 5 countries that have bodies to officially investigate UFOs. The first one is the Uruguayan government, who has CRIDOVNI, Comisión Receptadora Investigadora de Denúncias de Objetos Voladores Não Identificados, which is in an air base in Montevideo. You know, it was built in 1979, so it's on for quite some time. I interviewed its commander, which is a colonel from the Air Force, Ariel Sanchez. And then we have Chile, which we spoke about just now, who started investigating officially the UFOs in 1997, which is also a long time ago. Then we had Peru and Ecuador, which started investigating UFOs in 2002. And Peru has a stronger story about UFOs because they closed, paralyzed then reopened their committee for investigation of UFO phenomena. Right now, it was upgraded from an office to a department. It's the Department of Investigation of Extraterrestrial Phenomena. And since 2010, we have Argentina, which is one of the major things that happened, as you asked me a while ago, since 2010. Since 2010, Argentina has a body to investigate UFOs. It's called Center for Investigation of Fenómenos Aeroespaciales, Center of Investigation for Aerospace Phenomena. But Argentina had a history of UFO investigation that is much previous to that, because its bases in Antarctica have been visited by UFOs in the past, in the 60s and in the 70s, and there were other initiatives in those years to investigate UFOs. So did Brazil. Very few people know that Brazil had admitted that UFOs are extraterrestrial, are real and extraterrestrial in 1954. It is believed that it's France who was the first country to come open about it in 1976, under the administration of Alain Giscard d'Estaing, but it was not. Back in 1954, 22 years before France, Brazil admitted UFOs are real and are extraterrestrial, and they must be observed, they must be investigated. And it happened in 1954, 1969, 1977, 1986, and 1996. So we have a very serious involvement by the Brazilian Air Force, especially Brazilian Air Force, but also Brazilian Army towards the UFO phenomena.
But since you have so much openness, and almost you could say you have an almost disclosure in Brazil, actually, from the authorities.
We actually have disclosure.
But what do astrophysicists and people who astronomers say in Brazil when the authorities are saying this? What is their point of view?
Well, see, this is something that I just don't understand. The government comes and says, yes, UFOs exist. Here are the papers. We have investigated that. We have them on radars. They fly at 4,000 kilometers per hour in our atmosphere, and this and that. And some astrophysicists, some astronomers say, UFOs don't exist. Come on. How can they still have that kind of position? Right now, one of the major astronomers in Brazil, who actually lives in the United States, Marcelo Gleiser, he simply says that UFOs don't exist. But I cannot accept that a man intelligent as him, or any intelligent man who has access to information, simply don't see the reality. I think it's a problem with the ego. I don't know, some state of mind that make them to live in complete denial of the whole thing. But a simple person in Brazil knows that UFOs exist, because we have been told so, and we have been shown the evidences. Me as a UFO researcher, along with my colleagues researchers, we have shown so much stuff to the society in our conferences, in our magazines and everything. We have been in the Ministry of Defense of Brazil, invited by the MOD people to deal with the UFO subject, to demand, to present our demands to the Brazilian government about it. And we were taken very seriously. So I don't know why astronomers, physicists, this kind of people still say, UFO don't exist. They have very rapidly opened their minds or their eyes. They're going to be left behind.
During the last 5 years, has there been any new cases? Is there a UFO case in Brazil that you can talk about? Last time we talked about the official UFO night in Brazil in '86. But is there any, probably not a big flap as that has happened in the last 5 years, but is there a case that you would like to mention from the last 5? Many. But we don't have time for all of them, but maybe just one of the best ones.
Then what is the very newest thing in Brazil? We got crop circles, which we never had before. Now, the crop circles in Europe, especially in England, are on for the latest 70s, early 80s, and they never appeared in Brazil. And we know that they are related to UFOs. So how come Brazil, that has everything related to UFOs, never had a case of crop circle? But in November 2008, we had the first one, actually a couple of ones. And then every year from 2008 to today, always in the same place, always at the same time, we have the crop circles.
Well, are they as complex and as in Wiltshire in England, or?
Not yet, but they are getting there. When they started, they were very simple but big, and undeniably intelligent messages. They no sign at all of human beings doing that. They were big. Last one I investigated last year on October 26, it was 2 circles with a series of elements that were like 150 meters in length. So they are very huge. They are very big. They are getting as complex as the crop circles in England back, let's say, 10 years ago. I guess that Brazilians are having a chance to witness this phenomena, and the UFO researchers from Brazil can start investigating it since the beginning, as happened to the English UFO researchers and other researchers, because there are so many people involved in the crop circles in England. But the thing is that when the most serious researchers start to pay attention to the crop circles in England, much has passed. Much has passed. Now we're having a second chance in Brazil to start to observe this phenomenon since the very beginning of it, which was only in 2008. Now, we are almost in October now, and I'm expecting that any time we're going to have in October, perhaps in November, this phenomenon again. As I told you.
Oh yeah, in the southern hemisphere, yeah.
Yes, it only happens in one area of Brazil, in the western part of the state of Santa Catarina. And only one city around that city, in only one time frame, last days of October, first days of November, never in May, never in December, never in January, never in March, no, only at that particular time. This makes a puzzle even more mind-boggling.
We often talk about this disclosure idea, this disclosure notion. When we met in 2010, we were kind of on the height of the disclosure, people talking about disclosure in the UFO community. Has your view on the disclosure idea, or if it's possible, changed during the last 5 years? Is it realistic that we have this disclosure with the big D, as some people talk about? We've talked to other people. Most people are talking about the disclosure with the little d. But has your idea of disclosure or your views on disclosure changed during the last 5 years?
Well, I think that our views about ufology change every year, all the time. Now I know that I know more about UFOs than I knew last year, and I knew last year more than I knew the year before. So we keep upgrading ourselves as we follow as close as possible this phenomenon. Keep upgrading our mentality, our ideas about it. And the more we exchange information, the more we meet internationally, the more we get acquainted with this phenomenon. For me, it is getting clearer and clearer that we're going to have a contact with them. This is going to be the moment of the big disclosure, when there is a contact with them. I don't see, at least for now, a global disclosure coming from the countries. I think that even like Brazil giving up 7,000 pages, and Chile having this big UFO organization, so Peru and whatever, and some countries like Denmark, New Zealand, Germany, Mexico, Italy, whatever, releasing its papers about the UFO, they are still withholding a lot. They release the very tip of the iceberg. The whole iceberg is still underneath the water, and we have to go for it. So they will give us the information drop by drop. Because, Frederick, I have a very clear reason, the idea of the reason why the governments want disclosure. See, I was taught actually, by my friends in the military in Brazil who gave me interview, generals, Maiores, brigadiers, that the mentality of the military and the government in general is like that, something that we don't know about. We don't have all the answers, and we don't control, especially if we don't control, we don't talk about it. Because let's say that the Danish government decides to say, oh, okay, we are now admitting that UFOs exist. The second question is going to be, oh, that's good. And where do they come from? And there's no answer for that. And who's piloting them? We don't know. Will they harm us? Or are they here for some good reason? We don't know. So this is the problem. The governments don't know what more about UFOs. Plus, in the United States, there is an even worse situation, because they're hostages of themselves, the authorities. Because if the mentality is like that, if let's say Obama says, okay, American people, we are admitting that the UFOs exist. The second question probably will be, hey, President, since when do you know that? And they will have to say that since the 40s and the 50s. And then they would ask again, do you think you have the right to keep that secret from us and kept lying during all these decades that UFOs don't exist? So it will be very embarrassing. So they're changing their strategy to make people aware of that the UFO phenomenon exists. If you go in America, 20% of the advertisements on TV and everything have an alien.
Exactly.
Everything. Yeah. They release a new toothbrush. There is an alien.
Exactly.
Version. They release a new car. There's an alien driving the car. They release a new whatever, and they have an alien. Okay. So this is how they are trying to revert this many decades of denial.
AJ, unfortunately we're running out of time. I want to thank you very much for coming to Copenhagen all the way from Brazil and here to visit us in Europe. And I hope to see you again another time, perhaps in the US again.
Okay, so it will be my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me and all this week long in Copenhagen. I really admire the work you're doing. I think that from the several exopolitical organizations that I know in the world, you are one of the most active. So you're to be complimented by that. Thank you
very much, AJ.